now. All right, welcome everybody to day 2 of our 2020 hybrid class piano curriculum. We are going to get started this morning. Let me share my screen and let's just take a look at the agenda. All right, the agenda, we start, I switched things around just a little bit after talking to everybody and just kind of seeing what people's concerns were. And I decided to throw this first thing in called curriculum, equipment, and software. The reason why is because everybody's looking for practical things right now. Like, how am I going to get a keyboard into my students' hands? What equipment, where are links to those equipment? How much do they cost? What kind of software should I use? And so if you want to go to that link a little later on, you'll always have this link in this agenda, and I'm going to leave this agenda open. So this is the place where it's going to be your table of contents or your index, where you can come here and just go to anything. So if I click on this, the curriculum, equipment, and software I have in 3 separate sections here. Let me start with the equipment, because a lot of people were asking, what kind of keyboards would you recommend? And I told you I'd get you this later. This is the cheapest keyboard that I would recommend for really good, a good experience for students. It has a MIDI connectivity. It has dynamic, so you can play loud and soft on it. And it has 61 keys. You know, 88 keys is nice, but it costs more money. Really depends on what budget your students are in. And then it also has, surprisingly, an aux-in cord. Now, let's say they want another keyboard. I also put this recommended pianos here, and I've done a lot of research on what are some really inexpensive solutions and what are some of the best solutions. So this first one here was this the budget keyboard, and then I show pros and cons to it. And then number 4 is a budget keyboard that's 88 keys. This one is Williams Legato. I show pros and cons to that one. Surprisingly, $229 for 88 keys is not bad. If you want a what do you call this, like a cabinet piano, this is the most inexpensive one I have found, but it has a pedal. It's got all the really good features with in and out MIDI. It's got auxiliary input, believe it or not. Most of your keyboards at this price will not have that. So really good. You can put your laptop on it, or you can put your iPad on it, or your music. When you go up in quality, I found that this is one of my favorites. It's actually the one I'm using right here today. I really like this in a lab situation because it's not too high. It's a little lower, and it makes it easier for people to sight read when their music and their keys are a little closer together. Some of these other pianos, like this Yamaha, you notice it's a little taller. Makes it a little bit harder to read, but this is still my favorite keyboard right now, which is $2,700 for the Clavinova CLP 635. There are obviously some other things, like if you wanted, I have a grand piano where I've got a piano scan on it, which is really cool because I can use my acoustic piano and connect it to my computer, which allows you to do assessment software or to do notation like Finale or whatever. So those you can get whenever you want. Obviously, there are more keyboards out there, but these are my favorite. Does anybody have any questions before I move on from keyboards? Okay, no questions. Let's move on. I don't have links to cables, but I did notice, like on my digital piano, I didn't realize that I had an auxiliary input and how to use that and connect it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some links to cables and stuff in here and some videos on how to hook stuff up. Let me just make a note. Maybe Josh, would you mind doing that? Maybe we do a section here called how to hook up keyboard to device. And then we'll do something like audio and MIDI. When it comes to microphones, a lot of people will wonder what kind of mic I should get. You can just use the cheap one on your device, your computer, that. But if you want something that's really a high quality but really inexpensive, I found this one works extremely well. And there's a Amazon link on that. Mic stands. This is some ideas on how to connect your device. Sorry, your microphone. I'm wrong. How to connect your camera over your keys so that you can see your piano. The boom stand has been my favorite because it's so versatile and it's easy to hook up. So people ask, you know, what should I look for? I actually prefer this more expensive one with the mic clip and gooseneck, but I started off with this one. The only problem is it can fall over because it's kind of light. And so you have to put a sandbag on it to keep it from flipping over, or tape it to the side of your piano or something. Video software, you guys know what Zoom is. Skype, Hangouts, Duo, Microsoft Meetings. There's so many different ones out there. My favorite for one-on-one lessons and group lessons is Zoom. If I'm going to collaborate with a group, my favorite way to do that is with Skype because it does stuff that Zoom cannot. Hangouts is just free. A lot of people ask about Facebook. Not Facebook, FaceTime. The problem with FaceTime is what? Anybody?
Only Apple.
Only Apple can use it. So only 50% of the population has an Apple device that they can even use with that. You may have, most of your students have Apple, and then you could use FaceTime. But for something universal, I think these other ones work better where they work on any device.
Question.
Yes.
Is anyone else concerned in using Skype or FaceTime about using your own personal number, phone number? Because I love my students, but I don't want them to have my cell phone number.
I'm going to open that to the panel. Everybody, any concerns?
Also, my school, my department really is against us using Facebook or anything like that as a possibility because of FERPA and all of those things.
I think connection is key, that you need to stay connected to the students. I personally have given them my cell phone number. If it becomes a problem, then get yourself another phone or change your number. But so far, it has not been a problem.
I agree with that so far.
I think you can change your Apple ID in settings. You can change your Apple ID to your email address, I think. And so when the students are getting onto FaceTime, I'm pretty sure they can just type in your email address instead of your phone number.
Yeah, they can.
I've never had a student stalk me.
But on Zoom, isn't it just an email address, or am I wrong on that?
Well, I'm not talking about Zoom. I'm talking about Skype or FaceTime.
Because you want to use that instead of Zoom?
No, I use Zoom. I'm just saying, because he listed Skype and FaceTime as possibilities.
My students used Skype this past semester, and my students have my cell phone number, but it was with I'm not technologically minded, but it was with the Skype ID link. I don't think it was my phone number at all, but I could.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can change that. You can change how it's accessed, whether it's through an email address or a phone number.
Yeah, my philosophy is I like to try as many things as I can and see which one works the best, and then deal with things as they come up.
Just so everybody knows, Zoom is not a liable platform my university is banning to use Zoom at all because there's a link to China or something. My university does a lot of work for NASA and other industries. And so we received an email saying that Zoom was not a platform that we needed to use. So right now they are asking for WebEx through the campus portal. But unfortunately, WebEx sometimes is jammed because of the amount of people using. So I use FaceTime, I use Skype, I use WhatsApp, whatever necessary to be able to teach them. And unfortunately, I had to give my students my cell phone, which I never had done it before, but this past semester I had to do it.
I'm putting WhatsApp on there as well. I forgot about that one. We use that mostly, it's used in most parts of the world, a little less in the United States, but yeah, it's probably the largest platform outside of the United States. As far as that goes, what I found is institutions have to deal with a lot of logistics and legal things. And so they sometimes go overboard in their limitations, which really limits us as teachers and drives me nuts because a lot of times their ideas are unfounded and their worries are unfounded. Zoom, for instance, there was a leak in Zoom back in April or March, and Zoom went and released some new security settings, but most universities just got scared of that and they just don't care. They're like, I just don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, even if it is the best way. So you may have to get special permission from your administrators for this or that, and maybe explain why, and maybe their hands are tied too, and you'll just have to figure something else out. So we'll move on now to video editing software. I put Camtasia on here. Does anybody else have another video editing software that they give to their students? I heard iMovie.
iMovie, yeah.
That one's free, which makes it really good, but it's only, you can only use it on
Apple.
On Apple. So I have not found anything that's free for your Windows platform.
I've tried DaVinci Resolve and WeVideo.
I lied. DaVinci Resolve is free.
Mm-hmm. And then WeVideo, I don't know. I've just kind of looked at it a little bit, and I think I've even heard like some like junior high and high schools, they give their kids and they use that in the schools to make little videos. So the kids may even already know it. I haven't looked deeply into it.
What's that one called?
WeVideo.
I'm going to put it on there. Anybody can check that out. Does anybody have another one?
I have recently been made aware of something called Loom, L-O-O-M. I think it's more helpful for instructors in terms of creating presentations and lectures, but maybe it's worth taking a look at.
I haven't used it. I've heard of it, but I thought it was more of like a video.
It's not video editing software. I think it's more of a presentation creator helper.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Lecture.
Yes.
So it doesn't fit in this category.
Let's
I thought
off of that one. I guess we don't have a category for presentation.
But that's a good point.
Slides, that one's free.
And Screencastify.
I lied. They changed their name to presentation. Screencastify is a presentation one?
And that's what I've heard. You can kind of edit your videos so that you can, splice them together and have a good presentation. I'm gonna look into it.
I have not seen that one.
Limiting video editing too.
I guess as more of a conference, not a conferencing, but a streaming.
And I found for capturing my screen, making a video of my screen to say walk through Channel Marvel or something for Apple users, QuickTime, you can make videos rather quickly, very easily. Except you have to make sure you send it as a smaller file.
QuickTime.
QuickTime.
Oh, QuickTime. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And YouTube has some limited video editing too.
We'll put YouTube on there.
I use personally the Premiere Pro. That's a little bit more
Oh, yeah.
complicated, but I do use that. And for presentation, actually, Zoom, you can have a presentation in the record mode. And I haven't tried it, but I was recommended my IT people
Are
to
you
do
saying
the presentation on Zoom directly.
Yeah, I have made screen capturing on Zoom, which which I'm doing right now. I'm just recording the screen and you can see everything I'm doing. So you can use Zoom as a screen capture, but unfortunately you can't do any editing with it. So it wouldn't go in the video editing one. Premiere Final Cut.
ScreenFlow is another editing software, but it's not free. It does contain some learning curve. ScreenFlow. Anybody heard of a ScreenFlow?
I use ScreenFlow.
But
it's just for Mac though.
Whoa, ScreenFlow.
That's like $169 for the software.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's only for Apple computers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, I'll put a note on that. Okay, as far as notation software, the free one that's probably the biggest right now is MuseScore. You have Finale and Sibelius, which are pretty expensive. NoteFlight, they're doing a really good job with being able to share like an online platform. You can upload, it's kind of like Google Drive, but for notation software. That one's not free. So none of these are free except for MuseScore, and that's why I think MuseScore is good, especially at a time right now where the students are and budgets are really tight. And I think it's good to at least experiment with the free software.
NoteFlight does have a free version. It's the limited version.
I did not know that.
And also Dorico, which is about 4 years old now. That is hopefully the new leading software. It was developed by the Sibelius team that was let go several years ago. And they do have a free version, and it's not free for 1 month. It's a permanently free software, Dorico SE. And you can have, it's great for pianists because you're only allowed to use 2 voices, like piano and instrument. But it can actually play a full Dorico file if I send you a chamber piece or an orchestral piece. It'll actually play it. And of course, you can save it in XML to send it to any other notation program that a student might have. So
that is cool. Okay, thank you. Yeah. And all right. So I think that you guys have those resources now with that link. I'm just going to close that for now. And we will now move on to this, how to create a hybrid online in-person lesson. So I think probably the most difficult thing here is grading your students and making sure that they've done assignments. So I've been looking at different ways that you could do that. A lot of teachers are resorting to this manual grading, which is video. The problem with that is it's extremely time consuming, where you have to sit and watch each student perform. And if each student's expected to play only 10 songs in a week and you have 100 students, that's still 1,000 things that you'd have to grade, or just hope that they did their assignments. But more and more, we're expecting students to do 100 things a week, just to go through quantities of materials, especially for sight reading. You want them to read. And so you don't know if they've done it. So what I'm going to show you here is this accountability with grading your lessons. Before we go on to like some free things, let me just show you how this works. Before I do this, can I see, just to raise of hands, how many of you are familiar with how Piano Marvel grades and how your students' reports are done? So I've got, I don't see a lot of videos. Some videos are off. Okay, so some of you have seen how that works. Let me just do a quick demonstration of what you can see with your students and what they've done. So let me share my screen with you. And I'm going to open my account. And I'm just going to come over here to the reports. So if I wanted to see just like practice minutes, for example, which of my students have practiced, I can come in here and July 1st, you can see each of the students have put in some time. I'll zoom in so you can see a little better. Or how about I zoom the other way? Zoom in. I can see this first student here, Pat Hughes. She has 262 minutes. This is an adult student who's 80 years old of mine. And she's been super, super consistent. Every single day practices. Looks like Mason Gonzalez missed the July 4th and July 5th, but super consistent otherwise. I can go back to last month. Up here at the top, you'll see the little July, or I could just say go to the previous month. And I can say, let's see who practiced the most. Looks like Isabel. She's a 10-year-old student. And you can see, we'll see if she missed any days. It looks like she's done extremely well with practicing. On the other hand, my student Kenny Taylor has not been practicing at all. She practiced one day last month. So what I like about this is instantly I can see if I have some problem students who just haven't practiced at all. So that's one thing, but more importantly would probably be my assignments. If you give your students an assignment, you want to see how they've completed it. One of my assignments I've given them is this Scale Ninja Beginner. So I had my students do this Scale Ninja Beginner, and you can see this is a leaderboard. So I can come in here and see where they rank in the world. Like Cade Kenny is a 10-year-old student, and he's finished all of this. He ranks second in my group. Josh Mills was third, finished. Miley's finished. Mason's finished. So this is what we call a leaderboard. Leaderboards are cool because you can see where your students, which of your students are placed where in your class, and they can also see that, which helps motivate them to work. You can also go in and do a class rank and see, well, this leaderboard's not working for the class rank, but you can see where your whole group or your school ranks in the whole world. So you can see, hey, we're ahead of this university or that university. Guys, let's try to beat them, as a way to motivate students to practice more. There's another Scale Ninja report. Just type Scale Ninja in here. And this one, you can actually see a breakdown of every single scale that I've assigned them. If this decides to pull up.
And Aaron, this records cursor time, right? Not login time.
That's correct. Yeah, so just time they're working. So if they leave and go to the bathroom, it doesn't count that time. It's just the time they're actually working.
But it also only counts if you go from the beginning to the double bar at the end, correct?
No, it actually counts if you start and stop in the middle practicing. All time that the blue marker's that cursor is moving, it should be counting the all time.
Okay.
And that's whether it's connected to a piano or whether it's not connected and it's just on an acoustic piano. It counts that time as well. This one though, however, you can see Haley knew it. She has done C major, G major, D major. This one, she only got a 90% on. She got stuck on the D flat major. So if I was to just say, hey, I'm assigning this to the entire class and I want to see you guys finish, I can see instantly that I don't have to worry about Josh. He's done. He's already working on his minor scales. He's got the first one done. But as far as this assignment, all these students are done. I only have to contact Virginia and see what's wrong with her D flat scale and why she got stuck there. I can see 98s on some of these, but as a visual, you know, they can do hundreds of hours of practice and you can see instantly all of your students' assignments at a glance. So this is a big, big time saver. What's really cool though, let's say you wanted to build your own curriculum. You can actually put in your own reports, put in your own scales, and you can build your own report and then have your students do those, and you can see them as they're working on their assignments. So what I'd ask Josh to do is I've asked if he would go ahead, and since this is being recorded, you guys, what I think I'll do is I'll put this on YouTube, and I'm going to put a link directly to this time-stamped spot where Josh is going to show you how to upload and make your own curriculum so you don't have to frantically take notes. So Josh,
Yes.
I asked Josh if he would, can you open, share your screen with us?
Yes.
And can you open the document that we made where I gave you a format where it says class piano and then week 1, 2, and 3. Can you show me that that document so
Yeah.
everybody can see that?
What is it called again?
Well, I don't know.
Me either.
We had written this out. We might need to go and
Let me see if I can find it from yesterday.
I think it said you were going to do a scale, 2-octave scale on there. You were going to take something from Alfred's book so we can borrow some other content. And then you were going to create your own content with, I think, Mary Had a Little Lamb. So maybe if you do a search in your Google for Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Aaron, is this through Piano Marvel that you're building this curriculum, your own?
Yeah, so in Piano Marvel, we're going to show you how you can share these with students. And you can upload your content into Piano Marvel. And then that way they can just go in, do whatever thing you assign them, and it all shows up in your grade book. Okay, so this is it. So we're going to create this class piano, and normally they're 15 weeks, 13 weeks, something like that. Week 1, Josh is going to do a scale, a 2-octave scale, D major and A major in there. He's also going to use, he's going to steal something from the Alfred Group Piano for Adults and assign that. And then he's going to do a recital piece and assign that with Arabesque. And then he's going to upload an exercise, because a lot of you have used different curriculum and you like some of the content, but you always find that you need to supplement it with something. And so there's a very specific reason why there's no perfect method out there. And that's because you teach in a very unique place to unique students and you have a unique style. So allowing you to be able to innovate and come up with your own curriculum, I feel is very important. All right, Josh, he told me that he could do this in 5 minutes. I could not do that in 5 minutes, but I'm going to set a timer. And I wanted to see if this is possible. So Josh, you're gonna have 5 minutes when I say go, and we're just gonna watch you do this.
All right.
Step by step. Ready, set,
Okay.
begin.
All right, so I'm going to make this curriculum real quick. This is what I need to do. So Scale Ninja is first. So I opened up the uploads. First thing I'm going to do is make the name of this thing. It's going to be called this. So here we go. The composer we'll say is...
Okay, I'm going to stop you right now.
Okay.
I can see why you do this in 5 minutes. I can't even keep up with you.
Okay, well...
So let's go back. Let's go back and just talk people through what buttons you're clicking.
Okay. All right. So in Piano Marvel, we're in the library. And if you click the create and upload, it's going to take you to this little upload portal. And this is where you can kind of do a lot of stuff. But the first thing that I think we need to do is to make the folders that all these different weeks are going to go into for Class Piano 121. So if we go over here and say create a new book and title it and put all the different things in there. So this is going to be University of Awesome. Difficulty level, we'll just pick something. The genre, we'll say it's an institution. And you can also choose right here if you want to do this report. So we're just going to add this report name, and then you just click save. So what you've done right there is make the actual folder that you're going to be sticking the weeks into. So this is like the overarching
It's
big
the book.
folder.
It's the book, and now you're going to create the chapters.
Exactly. So we made the book. Here's the chapters. So we'll create a new bundle. First chapter is called week 1. So we'll just go in here, say week 1. The composer, I'm going to say various just because we're pulling from different stuff. Difficulty. We'll just throw it right here in this book.
So it's important to put it in the book. That's how you link it to that book.
Yes. And you could turn on report again here if you wanted an individual report just for this week.
But probably not for this, huh?
Yeah. So that's pretty much ready now. So the first folder is ready. The first chapter is ready. And if I wanted to, I could make week 2 and week 3 as well.
Hopefully we have some of these teachers here who are connected, their computers connected to their pianos, and we'll make them sample students of yours. So if
that'd be cool.
you have your piano set up or almost set up and you want to do this with us, just connect your piano to your computer. If you've already got a Piano Marvel account, then we'll just have you, Josh is going to give you an assignment and show you how to link to him.
Yeah. So at this point, we just need to go ahead and make the first week of assignments. So this is already laid out for me. We're going to start with Scale Ninja D and A major. So if you go over here again, what you want to do now that you have the book made, you want to go to Piano Marvel Library. It starts off on my uploads, and this is everything I've uploaded personally. But if you go to the Piano Marvel Library, it's going to load every song in the entire Piano Marvel database. And so what you can do here is type in Scale Ninja, and you'll see the books show up. So if I click on that, and I click on the major scales, I can just drag these into here. Now, let's say for some reason you didn't like that these scales need to go all the way up to a certain speed. If you wanted to make them faster or edit them in any kind of way, you could copy this to your uploads. So this is called A major, I think is what I just did. And if you go down here and find it, boom. So it's right there. So at this point, you could kind of change it if you wanted to, add slicing, change the speed. It's set to 160 as the quarter note. I like it how it is, so I'm just going to keep it and drag it in.
Actually, couldn't you do a little bit of editing on that one?
Yeah, so if I click here on this edit button.
Change the name to like A major edited.
Okay. I'm going to put it up to 240 just to make it really hard for whoever does this.
Let's actually go slower because that's stupid.
All right. Well, the thought was there. Okay, so 114 we'll put it at.
Is this, by the way, is this under prepare and assess?
Right now, this one's actually only under, yeah, it is under prepare and assess. So yeah, you could change it, which we'll show you what that looks like.
Why don't you just leave it under, well, that's fine.
Okay.
You can do it under that.
So now we've done the first two. We'll want to pick something from this Alfred book. So that's pretty much the same deal. You want to click Alfred. Here's the first book of the Piano for Adults. I think I found something here yesterday that was kind of cool. I still don't know how to say this composer's name, so if anyone knows the correct pronunciation, please let me know. But there we go. So 263. Now we need the recital piece Arabesque. So we'll go back here. We'll type in Arabesque. Oh my. By Bergmuller.
Hey, is that the right one? Can you do a quick check by clicking on the view button?
Yes.
Whoops, that didn't open. Try that again.
Okay.
So that link might be broken. All right, we'll just have to try. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. So yeah, I believe that's the correct one. So there's that. And then now we need to upload Mary Had a Little Lamb. So this is something that I made in Finale. It's just really simple, Mary Had a Little Lamb. So what I'm going to do here is my uploads.
Hey, really quickly, I know since we're recording this and people are going to want to know details, can you open that in Finale and just show us what it looks like?
Yeah.
And then show us how you export it as an XML.
Yeah. So here is the Finale file. And it's just the same thing, transposed up a whole step. All I did was go export MIDI and then export music XML.
Can you put any chord symbols in there?
Yeah, I could. So if you want to add a chord symbol, you go to the chord symbol tool, click here, and it will do some fancy stuff. So boom, boom.
Okay.
Boom.
And then could you put in a little bit of lyrics, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and just leave just do that first measure maybe.
Yeah. So let me just turn off the fretboards because that's kind of annoying.
What program is this?
This is Finale.
Okay.
It works in almost any notation software program.
So this is Mary Had a Little Lamb.
But with a P.
Okay.
Okay, and can you also put in finger number 3 in the right hand on that first note?
Yeah.
And can you also give me a 1, 3, 5 in the left hand?
Oh yeah.
Below. Yeah, can you do that? How do you do it below? Mm-hmm.
So it looks ugly, but it's going to export beautifully into Piano Marvel. So.
Well, you can fix that, can't you?
Yeah, you could, but
doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter if you want to save time. I mean, I know it's only a second or two, but you could just let it go.
I'm kind of anal about that. I want it to look good. Also, because I want to export it as a PDF. Maybe that'd be a good thing for you to do now is export as a PDF as well.
Yeah, so
you can make PDFs and give PDFs to students too.
Yeah, so if you want to export the PDF, you can go down here and say, on Mac at least, you can go down here and say print, PDF, save as PDF. And this is not a symphonia. Mary had a very little, oh man, little lamb. Okay, so Mary had a little lamb. You'll also want to export the MIDI file.
So MIDI is the sound.
Yeah.
And you can have background sounds like with drums and that to make it more fun. I'd just keep it simple at first.
Definitely. And then you'll also need the notes, which is the like the actual sheet music. That's the XML. So you'll go File, Export, and you'll click Music XML. And I always choose .music XML, partially out of habit, but it seems like it opens easiest on my computer. So yeah, I just click Music XML, click Save, and now it's all on the desktop. And at this point, you can go back to Piano Marvel and you can upload it. So from here, you would want to type in all your little things. You can choose how hard it is. I guess it's a 5 if you make it go really fast, so we'll say really fast. Institutional. This is the important part right here, which is different from before. You want to upload the files that we just made. So we have a MIDI file and the music XML. And we were talking about this earlier.
You have a PDF too.
Oh, we do. Good call. And we have a PDF. And this is the thing we were talking about earlier. I'll show you this.
Well, do it under Assess. Because
Assess?
everything else has been under Prepare. Prepare and Assess is good.
Okay. All right, so that's going to save, and once it's done saving, we can just add this to the bundle.
Now you didn't make a pretty cover for any of these, no thumbnail.
No,
You
I
also, you can make a video tutorial, which I imagine most of the teachers are going to want to do, is being able to
Yes.
make video tutorials. So you just put in a URL for the YouTube link, and
then-
it'll link a video to that song.
Yeah, and then at that point, you basically made it so you could go and check it out, see if it looks right before you give it to your kids. But yeah, I mean, at this point, should all be good to go.
Okay, so Sean or Josh, how do you then share that with your students?
Yeah, so once it's looking good, you can share it pretty easily. You can choose to share either the entire book or just chapters. You probably want to share the entire book by clicking on that little icon.
How about this? Go ahead and close that. If let's say you've set up some classes and you just want to share it with a specific class, can you show us how you do that?
Yeah, so I don't know if I have classes set up. So
Why
I
don't
may
you
have
set up
to
a class
do that.
called Hybrid, and the Hybrid will be like our experimental zone here with just the people in this group.
Okay, so I'm going to make one called Hybrid. Hybrid. Actually, we'll just call it HYB. Actually, I got this backwards. Whatever.
Let's just do them both hybrid.
Hybrid.
It's
so
short.
there's a class. If I go back here and I go to share, you can, right here where it says classes, you can say share with. Once I refresh it, so I just made a new one. You can go here and say share with hybrid. So no matter what, like even after the ad drop date, if some kid leaves or comes in, like they'll get it automatically shared. Like you won't have to go back and actually share it with them, which is pretty cool.
I don't know why that's not working.
I don't know either. Doesn't
You,
like it.
you might have to refresh since you just recreated that. You just created that class. That's what happened.
Maybe I'll go like this. Library.
I'll bet you it works now. Still not?
Still not working. No.
That's weird. Well, let's go share it with my email address for now so we can demo it. You want to put it out?
Is due tomorrow. Hurry up.
Hurry up. Okay.
All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, now can you open the report and see how well I'm doing on my assignment?
Yeah. So if I go back to the reports. So if I click on the My Report there, that may be able to show me what I want. Not showing me what I want though. So if we go back to reports.
There should be Class Piano 21. Is that what you saved the name as?
Thought so.
Let's look at the report again. So editing the report, Class Piano 21, progress report is a yes. Change the name maybe to Hybrid.
Definitely. We'll call it Hybrid.
There may be a syncing issue.
Yeah, didn't show up.
All right. Why don't you do this? Let me go in to share my screen now.
Okay.
And then you can maybe log out and log back in. I'm not your student though, so I'm going to have to show you what I do to become your student. Does anybody have a question real quick?
I just wanted to say that I've done a really quick job of creating the first 15 weeks of the first semester of my group piano class.
Uh-huh.
So if there's time for me to share that, I would love to, just to
That would be phenomenal. Yeah.
a different way to organize it.
Okay. It'd be great. So let me share my screen and I'll show you on the student side what this looks like. So how do I make this go away? Here we go. So I'm going to log out of my account real fast, log back in. And oh, I got saved logins over here, so I can just click on that. I like these saved logins. You don't have to remember your logins. So it was over in the library. I should see that I have this message here. Josh Mills shared a song with you. Book title, Class Piano 121. This is due tomorrow, hurry up. So I'm gonna add this to my favorites. And I'll go over to my favorites and see if it looks like what he put together. I can look at my reports, and he chose two songs that I'd already started, Arabesque and this D major scale. He created a new one that I've never done before. So I need to go in there and do the 2, 3, and 5 assignment. So if I open up the week, you can see I've already done this first one, but I'll open it so you can just see it anyway. There's a video tutorial that was already linked to this, which walks me through this particular scale. I don't know if you can hear my sound, but I probably need to, share my audio with you. Share computer sound. I'm going to fast forward that. Let's go through our tips. Your thumbs will always land on the D together. Practice crossing over to the fourth finger with the left hand going up and the right hand going down. Remember your mid. Let's label those. All right. Fingers together, middle fingers together. 4, 3, 3, 4, 4. Let's try that. Then cross under to 4, cross over to 4 with the 4, and 4 under, 4 over, 3 under. Okay, so what's cool about this is I was able to make a video. I can't count how many times I've taught this scale. I kind of get sick of teaching the same scale to thousands of students over and over, so I just made a video, just linked it to the exercise. So now this one is there's only the prepare mode. And I got an 84% because I didn't do it fast enough. I need to get down to 6 seconds and get this over here. It's pretty cool. It actually links to the Ninja report, and you can see where you rank in the world with that scale, which is kind of cool because it motivates you to practice more. Anyway, moving on to my next assignment, all I have to do is hit the next button and it'll actually take me to the A scale, which I haven't done yet. And that one I got a 99% because I missed a note. I'm gonna try again. Now I got 100. And this one is assess.
Set, go.
first time the student plays through it, you can see they got an 87% score. You can see which notes they got right, which wrong. They can click on them. You can speed it up, slow it down. If you slow it down, you actually don't get a score for it, is the problem. You can also use the prepare mode and practice it, which is kind of nice. So instantly they can see what they did wrong. Some of your students will read this really quickly. Some of them will take longer. It doesn't matter as long as they get the assignment done. And everybody can move at their own pace. I'm going to move on to the next song, which I've already finished, 44% of the way done. Let me just try to play the full speed. Josh, do you know if this one is set to be able to play just the fastest tempo?
Yes.
Oh, then I'm just going to go to the fastest speed and play through that one. If it isn't, you'll know.
Set, go.
Actually, let's skip to this one. You guys all know that song. Mary Had a Little Lamb. This is the one that Josh built specifically for me. And so I'm going to play it at the tempo.
1, 2, set, go.
I'm not. That's really slow. I'm going to go to speed it up. Let's go to 240.
1, 2, set, go.
And you can see I got a 98%. The notes that I got wrong show me there. You can see his finger numbers that he put on. He put on this 3 here, the 1, 3, 5 here, the C chord, the chords, and the lyrics. So everything he put in there showed up really well. So now if I go back to my report, you should see that I did better. All right, I've got 66% of this assignment completed. Josh, do you know what went wrong with number 2?
No, I do not. Did you not finish all 3 of them?
There aren't 3. There's only 1.
I thought there was 3 speeds on it.
Let's open that up again and see what went wrong. So there's only 1 speed. There's only a prepare mode. I wonder if there's a glitch with that song in only doing prepare. Can you switch it on your end? Let me stop sharing and Josh, you share your screen with me. Let's go look at that song. Go edit it in your library and switch it to assess mode. Assess and prepare. And if we find that this is the problem, can you contact the developers and see if we can get that fixed?
Definitely.
Okay, so now that he's done that, I'm gonna share my screen with you. Go ahead and stop your sharing. I'll go back to mine and let's just refresh this. Go over to my favorites, which I believe it should be on the top. And you didn't put a little pretty icon on there with the thumbnail, but you probably would do it. So now when I click on this, I've got to minimize this. I have the prepare and assess. Let's see if this works.
1, 2, set, go.
Thanks for not doing 240 beats per minute. So now that was the problem. There was a little glitch in there. If I click on my report, I can see that I have everything done. Let's go back to the teacher now. Josh, can you show us, were you able to find the report? Oh, wait, you're not my teacher.
That's probably why, yeah.
Well, let me go back to, I think you're right. Let me go back to my screen and I'll show them how to have their students link to the teacher. So back to Piano Marvel. You can see if you click on this and you go to My Teacher, I am, I believe, my own teacher. So I'm going to switch this to Josh. Which one is it? Is it Mills?
Yes.
Or your email address would work too. So if you give your students your email address, that's usually the easiest way. All right. So now that I'm linked, I'm going to stop sharing and Josh, show us what the teacher sees.
Okay.
As if I did my homework.
Hey, there it is.
I think in order for that to show there, somebody has to do an assignment.
Yeah, you have to have a teacher that's done
I'll
something.
probably be your best student in this one. I am. I got an 86%. So that could go right in your grade book. And then 34 for Evelyn. And Annalise gets 27%. So that's one easy way to automatically grade all of your students. If you have 100 students, it's super simple. All of their reports go in there. Does anybody have a question with that at all? Donna? You're muted, Donna. But your lips are moving.
What is the assessment based on? Notes missed, staying with the tempo, correct rhythm?
Yeah, there's only two things it grades. It doesn't grade any artistry. So there's no slurs. It doesn't grade dynamics. It doesn't grade articulation. It only grades whether you got the right note in the right time. So, and that was intentional because music is artistic and you really don't want to start getting in the habit of grading somebody's artistry because then they feel like they're put into a box and they can't really be creative. So you leave that to the teacher and letting their ear do that. So mostly those are just making sure they got the right notes in the right time, which is probably the hardest part of learning a song is just getting the notes down because the artistry really comes kind of naturally. And that's kind of what our job is as teachers, to teach them now that they've got it under their fingers, how to be artistic with it. Good question. Anybody else have a question with that?
Quick question.
Yes.
This might be really silly, but I have a keyboard that is really old, like 10-year-old. It happened to have a MIDI connection. So I used that and it tried a Piano Marvel. I think it was iPad version, I think. I can't remember if it was a computer or iPad. And it tried that and the sight reading, and I got like 0 because everything was not aligning with the time. Do you think it was a cable problem or just the old keyboard doesn't really work?
It was probably, let me show you a quick screenshot of mine. This is what yours needs to show. Oops, let me get back to, all right, back to here. If you go over to the menu and you go into instrument settings, you need to see that this thing is flashing. And over here, it will show a device is connected. If I unplug my piano and I refresh this, it will say, please connect the MIDI device. And if you plug it in and then refresh, it should show your device and it should show the little flashing. If it's not showing that, then you can click on this button that says need help, watch this MIDI setup video, or visit our support page. So both of these are good helps on how to connect that. Maybe the best way is just to send an email to contact us at pianomarvel.com.
Okay.
Because you know, there's a million different circumstances why it might be.
Yeah, it's like it was connected, but it was constantly delayed by, like I would play, so it could be an action problem, or I just didn't know if you had a technical requirement for
no, it
certain
should
instrument.
work really seamlessly. So I just contact support.
Okay.
And have them walk you through fixing that. That's a great question though.
I have a question.
Yes, Tracy?
One of my biggest problems with students doing scales on Piano Marvel is supervising their fingerings. I end up have lots of students playing black key fingering star on finger number 1. So you imagine you play E flat major starting on the 1 and the 5th finger. And how I found out about it is during the final exam, I have them submit videos. And I had like 3 students out of 7 did that. And I just wanted to ask, what are some strategies to help them to practice correctly at home on their own?
You beat them early. So before, like, you have to set a very solid expectation on your end that you are not going to accept wrong finger numbers. I had this where I just assigned it to my student, and I had this really cool video. She's playing the scales, and I got her to do it like within the first 3 days. You know, do this first scale, here's how you do it, send it back to me. And she did the wrong finger. And I said, absolutely not. You're gonna have to relearn that whole scale. And then when I got a video confirmation that she had correct fingering, I accepted it. But I set that precedent so early on in her studies that when she did the other 23 scales, she knew that I wasn't going to accept wrong fingering, and she had to pay attention to that. So I think it's all an expectation thing that you need to set really early. And I know a lot of times you experiment with it, see how they do, and then if you find it's a problem, come back to the drawing board and say, all right, that didn't work. Well, let me change it up and try something different. And then if that doesn't work, you get to switch it up again. So you've actually gone through the first stage of doing this, and you learned something super valuable. So I think that would be my suggestion, is move on to that next stage and learn how to set the expectation early.
I've noticed that, can you hear me? Because I'm confused, but there are some teachers in my area that teach all the scales, all of the scales using C major fingering. That includes the black keys.
I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't either, but
I'm not sure why they would.
That's a lot of undoing.
Yeah,
to
Guillermo,
do,
what are your thoughts?
I have a question.
We don't feel good about having only Piano Marvel. This is our first time for everyone across the board to use Piano Marvel in all of our class piano sections.
Mm-hmm.
But we want them to have the book as well, because they can mark it.
Yeah.
Piano Marvel has fingering. So I've used it in labs for years in my private studio lab. And I emphasize, there's good fingering, use it. And I give them a 2-measure practice, or have them highlight 2 measures. And they can't go on until they have the correct fingering in those 2 measures. So the same thing could apply to scales. And then the other thing is also the tempo. This might be the most important part of the teaching process for me in Piano Marvel, is using your control settings and teaching them to use how to alter that tempo. That is the first thing we learn, is how to slow down that tempo so they're not practicing fast and incorrectly, because it just wastes time.
Yeah.
So, but as far as getting them to do the right fingering, also have the book, or they can print out the scales, have them print out the scales, or create a PDF for their device so they can mark it, because they can mark things in their iPads. They can, it's just, we can't mark it in Piano Marvel because it's moving. So just using PDF, anything like that, to get them to still use a pencil.
Excellent comments, and it comes from lots of experience of you trying this and that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Let me address a question. What if your students don't have a MIDI keyboard that they can connect to their computer? What do you do in that case? Ideas? Emily, I think you've thought of this one.
Yeah, I'm going to use Piano Marvel, but operate under the assumption that nobody has access to MIDI, and then feel excited when students do. So they're just going to be using book mode. And then I'm actually going to experiment with weekly quiz submissions through video instead of big proficiencies 3 times a semester. And that will help nip it in the bud in terms of fingering issues, hopefully.
So now let me just give you a quick update. Piano Marvel's been developing a microphone assessment that we get next week to start testing, which means our goal is to have it ready by the fall. So you can actually cross your fingers, be able to use that with their piano. How badly out of tune is their piano? That may be problematic. I think you're smart to go with that assumption that nobody has a keyboard that they can use, and then just offer it as an extra. Hey, if you have a keyboard that will connect to that, it'll automatically grade you. It's really cool. And then just show them how much better it is to get automatic assessment. And then you'll be able to run your reports and you'll see, look, half of my class has it. I didn't think that many people had it. And then the more that you go along, I think it'll be easier to help people find keyboards and that. So those are great ideas. And we didn't show the book mode and what that looks like. Does anybody want to see what it looks like if I have an acoustic piano? Okay, so I saw a couple hands. Let me share my screen. And I am unplugging my piano. Let me go into the instrument settings so you can see. Okay, it's plugged in right now. Unplugging it. Refresh. I no longer have MIDI connection. Let me go to an exercise, maybe in this Alfred group piano. Let me go to this reading exercise, and I will just hit assess. And an option comes up, it says, you are not connected to a piano. Do you want to connect and go through MIDI, or do you want to do an acoustic? You just click the acoustic.
1, set, go.
Now I won't get a score, but I can say, practice it over and over until I get it right. And then when I feel it's complete, I just put a little completed thing on that. And so you get the background accompaniment, but what you get now instead is a check mark in your report instead of a score saying I've finished this. So I also get practice minutes because the blue cursor was moving. So on my practice minutes report, you'll be able to see that I got some time practice for that. So you can use it with book mode for students who cannot connect with that. And also when our microphone assessment comes out, hopefully that will come. That one is going to be really tricky. There's no assessment software that I am familiar with that does a really good job of a microphone assessment. So does that help a little bit to see what a book mode looks like? Okay.
So what's the basic equipment that you would need for Piano Marvel? Because my college has never used this before. So would it just be?
You just need a computer or an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need a keyboard that has a MIDI connection.
Okay, so each student would need their own laptop or iPad to use it, let's say in class for like a group.
Yeah, if they're gonna do class with you, like in the classroom, and some universities just have the students bring their own device with them, and they plug it into the piano at the school.
Okay.
Of course, there's an audio setup. You want to make sure that the audio is running through the piano so that you can hear the computer. It's not out loud because that would be obnoxious. Mm-hmm. And then some universities have digital pianos with computers there, and so you come and log in. So it's used different ways there. And then at home, sometimes the universities will open the lab for practicing. My assumption is this fall that almost everything's going to have to be done from home. If we do a hybrid, it'll be at home a lot of the time, maybe in the class one day a month, or maybe not at all, or maybe once a week, we don't really know what's going to happen. I would be prepared to do completely everything online.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing. So,
Aaron,
with the idea of when they come back to class, being able to just roll right into, okay, now that you're here, just log in, have the setup.
Would it be best just to have them all students just have a free account, just register at home?
Yeah.
Like, when class starts up, and they can kind of do that at home.
Yeah, and there's tons of free materials that you can use in Piano Marvel. What I want to show is like what's free and what you can do without having any cost at all.
Yeah.
Also,
okay, let's go with one question at a time. Raise your hands. Let's go with
Aaron. Oh,
Tracy first.
Oh, I have a question about interface cable. The one that I have cost me over $50. Most of my students can afford that, and so I'm looking for alternative, cheaper cables or MIDI cables they can use. Can you give some more options in addition to the most expensive one that we have?
You want me to put that on this one, right?
That would be great.
What is
Yeah.
it? Curriculum and software and equipment.
Yeah, some other options. I have the one, I bought a cheap one and it broke on me after about 2 months. So I went bought the most expensive one, which worked great. But I know some of my students can't afford that. And the cheaper one I got was like $10, and the expensive one I got was $50.
So USB MIDI interface cable.
Yeah, and maybe also MIDI in, MIDI out interface cable as well, one of the old-fashioned ones. We have some really old keyboards in our piano lab.
MIDI in and out to USB.
Right.
And others just like a USB A to B. There's also ones for iPads.
Right.
Some keyboards also have USB-C now, like the Roll and Go pianos.
And then also the Lightning.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna even bother with the ones that are 12 years old, whatever cable those were. I don't even think they sell those anymore, but those iPads are so old. I don't think anybody's be using those. But those two, the USB-C and the Lightning. Any others that you can think of? Okay.
I would imagine that iRig has some kind of MIDI interface for pads and.
I think the iRig is just a USB A to B.
Okay.
It's just got that standard 2-host, that square one with dog ears on it. Oh, there is one more. Not on the iPad though. It's called USB A to Mini. I know Casio's gone to that just recently. I don't know why they didn't go to USB-C. I guess it was already in development. Too many cables. So well, I'll put those links on there so you guys can have an easy place to find those.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's go to Donna. You were next.
Just so I understand, so if we decided to use this, would I purchase Piano Marvel for my school to use in our lab? And would the student need to independently purchase it also so they could use it at home in case we go?
It's by student, so they can log in anywhere. They can log in at the school. They can log in at home. What I do is I usually have most common universities will set up a free account for their students, and then just have them linked to the teacher, and that's all you do. And then they have 30 days to use it until their subscription expires. And then if you're using content that is paid content, then you need to have them create an account. They just upgrade to a premium account, and they can do that. You give them a code. If you want to write that down, it's called special. I'll put it in the notes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun on you.
Well,
I'm
that's
just
good.
trying to figure.
Questions that I think other people are wondering. The code is actually student. Put student in as their code.
And do a lot of people, or those of you that are here today, do you use this specifically? This is all you use, or do you use it as a supplement?
We've used it a couple years, and actually the students are able to purchase their semester's worth of membership through the bookstore. So that's how we do it and use it pretty exclusively. It's been a lifesaver.
Guillermo, you do it yours very different than most universities.
We've been using it as a supplement for sight reading. So if they don't achieve an 85% or higher on a sight reading quiz, then they use Piano Marvel to catch up. And I must say that the magical element of Piano Marvel is the immediate assessment. That's what the students respond to. We can't be there at the piano or now online to circle what went wrong. They see it immediately. They know what they need to fix. And that is the number one feedback I ask my students that really do improve quickly. Sometimes they only come in for 2 sessions and it locks in what was missing. And I don't question what that was, but it is somewhat of a magical element of Piano Marvel. The other thing I want to circle back to, my School of Music is currently creating a list for incoming students of suggested equipment. So for instance, for our piano labs, we will not use our lab headphones. Students must bring in their own headphones with a little 1/4-inch jack. And we're also making a list of keyboards for them to purchase. We purchased 56 keyboards. In March, we had 16 shipped out to students all across that didn't have anything. We had that ability to do that. Not everyone has that. But if the student can purchase those Casios, that's a great price. That's half the price of a roll and go piano, but the roll and go piano is really nice. They're not to be found. I bought them all.
But you also had the school purchase your students' subscriptions.
Yes.
Students didn't cover those costs.
Our students actually had to pay a fee for class piano outside of their block tuition, which no one has ever been wild about. So the students are already paying this extra fee, so we felt that we could at least pay for their subscriptions. And we went whole gun and and bought I don't know how many subscriptions, 160 subscriptions for all of our class piano students. And it's the full version. And I must say, to have all of that material, I'm so excited about creating my new lesson plans for the year, because you can romance them over with a Disney song every now and then.
Yeah, and
really
I
romance
will
them.
see that my very favorite sight reading ever. The very favorite sight reading is not the Sasser Standard Assessment of Sight Reading, although that's super cool. It is the Christmas Challenge. And I don't know why, but they'll sit and read through, you just tell them, get into the 100 Club. They'll read through 100 Christmas songs, make them really easy. The more content they can do that's fun, recognizable, they just start to fall in love with sight reading.
Aaron, one other quickie. Can students use this on other notepads other than iPad?
Not yet. We're making for iPhone. iPhone should be developed by the end of this year. And the Android phone, well, actually the Chromebook is next. And then after that is Android, and that is the difficult one. Great questions. Let's move on to like people's budgets. What if you are okay with just grading the regular way, even though it's a lot of grading? You can have them do videos. Piano Marvel actually offers the PDF of their course completely free. So if you're just old school and you just want to give them a PDF, I mean, the book is available too, but it costs money. If you give them a PDF, they can open it on their phone, their computer, it can open it anywhere. And that is absolutely free. So I want to show you how to find that. Let's go to our agenda and let me show you where that is. Sharing the agenda. Really quickly, if you go to this free tight budgets and free resources, we're building this and we're going to be putting more stuff in here, but this will actually show you how to get the Piano Marvel books for free. If you go to Piano Marvel Method and Technique, click on create the account, log into your account, and over here it shows when you're in the method, you just click on this little thing called Method PDF Book and copy and paste this. This is the table of contents. And then Zoom, of course, is free. We're going to be adding other free content as you guys go along. If you have something to add to this, just click on the request access and then send that. And we'll share this with you so you can go in and edit this yourself. So we want this to be something that you guys can edit as well. Let me show you even an easier way to get that. I'll walk through. If you go over to the dashboard, you'll see this method thing, the method and technique. You can see level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you just click in any one of the methods you're interested in, so let's say method 1, and then you click this PDF, it'll just open the PDF, which you can download and share with your students, or tell your students how to get it. You can see the table of contents, and this is all free to anybody who wants it. It has teacher accompaniments with it, which is really nice to play with students if they're reading. And that has all 6 books free. That may be of use, especially at this time where people are really struggling financially with institutions, like how to get your students to actually have material that you can't require them to purchase because you're in a tight area where it's just hard financially. So does anybody have any questions about that?
That could also be good for incoming students. You could let them know about it now, incoming freshmen that have never had any piano, at least give them a little thumbs up, no pun intended, 5 fingers up.
Yep.
To know where middle C is before they get to their first piano class, and know how to count quarter notes at the piano, having to do something more physical and a little more requiring coordination.
Yeah.
So that I never thought of using the PDFs, but we could actually send those to students and say, hey, get a jump start, know some notes on the piano.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of different financial needs, and so obviously it's better if you can get a keyboard connected. If you can't do that, then it's still better to have the book mode with the software, because you can hear the accompaniment, you can print off PDFs and all that. But if you don't even have that and you just need to go with a PDF, you just go with the PDF and then kind of work its way upward as you improve your program. So lots of options for you.
Hey, Aaron, I was going to throw in one thing. Reason I love those PDFs that you've created there is because there's a lot of writing exercises in there. When I studied with Paul Poli, he would have us go away from the piano and write C-E-G, C-E flat G, C-E flat G flat over and over, all these different things. And I think what that did is that really helped from a standpoint of internalizing a muscle memory and internalizing the visual and the auditory components of things. I think the actual writing really helped solidify some of the sight reading of things that I've been able to do well at. So one of the things I do with my students in those PDFs, I take one every single week and I print it off for my students. Okay, everybody, you need to write what these notes are on this score. If you want to show that for just a second, I think you were
like this
getting
one.
there.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. So whether it's note recognition or chord recognition or whatever, I think there's huge value in the writing exercises that you've intermingled all the way through those PDFs.
Yeah, and if you're looking at using PDFs with Zoom and stuff like this, you get free PDFs. Well, check this out. I go into my screen share settings. Let's see. I think I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, and then I will go into the annotation. And then you can just start either with drawing it with your finger, and you can just say, this is the 1 chord, this is the 1 chord, this is the 4 chord, this is the 1 chord, 4 chord, etc. Or you can even you can type it in. It's like, this is the...
Oh, you learn something new every day. I never knew you could actually type or write in on those PDFs on the computer.
You can't.
Cool.
This isn't on a PDF. This is with Zoom, your annotation with Zoom. So anyway, there's lots of different things that you can do as you experiment. And I highly recommend just trying things you've never done before. Think outside the box, and then share them with some other colleagues. Make some videos and say, hey, check out this, what we created.
Are those PDFs, they're like universally like free, right?
Yeah, they are.
You can use them, and you can share them. And
yep, you can share them with students. Don't worry about any getting sued, because it's we allow that and we encourage it.
Okay, very cool. Thanks.
One other thing that I thought I'd bring up in this, are you guys familiar, or have you looked at the link to the Facebook page yet? Let me share my screen again and go back into our agenda. There is a Facebook group here called Collegiate Piano Pedagogy Forum that we had decided to go ahead and create this forum, which would allow university professors to collaborate ideas and even create a course that you would be willing to share some of your ideas with other teachers. I've gone through the Alfred course. I've gone through a lot of different courses, keyboard strategies with students, and I always find that there are problems with it. One of my biggest challenges is people seem to think that because adults conceptually learn faster, that they don't need to go through as much material. They don't need to pay the price to read quantities and to read easy things. And so you get a lot of adult books that conceptually move very quickly, and they don't give a lot of foundation practice. And so I'm under the assumption that adults need just as much quantity as the students or as young kids would need. The only difference is they could go through it much quicker. So I feel like that's been one big hole in adult learning for college stuff. So one of the syllabus that I created, which you guys can take, I know I shared this with Emily, and I don't know if she used any of it or not. Did you use some of that? Or you created your own, right?
It was awesome for inspiration, but then I ended up kind of doing my own thing. Yeah. But I loved it. It was still really helpful.
So what I have students do is, let me show you where did that syllabus go? Not the sight reading. I think we might have put, under curriculum. So if we open up this curriculum one, you can see this free PDFs that show you how to get there. There's Alfred Group Piano for Adults and Alfred 101. Again, all of these are very geared around the idea that students don't need as much repetition. So I was just giving this to students at an adult level and just said, go through it as fast as you can. Quantity is really good. The more you can read at an easy level, the better. So my syllabus, this isn't in here. Where did the syllabus go? I'm not quite sure where I put the syllabus. I think it might be in here. Yeah, here we are. So I put this syllabus on here for you as a sample syllabus. You can use this as a sample and then go from there. You just what you do is you go up to the top, you say File, make a copy, and then you own that copy. And then you can change and put the year, syllabus, instructor, room, office, email, and then you can change up some different requirements or whatever. But down here I said in the week 1, go through method and technique. So there are 20 easy songs here, 20 easy songs here, 20 here, 20 here. And then, so that week 1, you could have them go through 40 songs, which is really good just for reading. And then the next week I said, okay, I'm going to slow down and have you just do 20, 10 and 10, or 20 and 20. So there's 40. Oh, I guess that's 80 songs that first week. And then go through the solo. And I put this link over here to some solos and ensembles, which is a PDF that I put together of some more entertaining songs that students can pick from to do, and they're all in Piano Marvel. You can change that if you want, make your own PDF. But this kind of gives you just a starting spot. If you want, the wheel's been created, no sense in recreating it until you try it out and learn some things and then move from there. So this is available to you as far as quantity goes. So when I say the level 1, what that is, you come over here and they just go through level 1. They open up the song, play through it, they get their score, and just quantities of music, go through them systematically. Now, a lot of teachers will simultaneously go through some harder stuff or intermingle it with recital pieces or scales, but this could be used just as sight reading. I mentioned the Sasser for our sight reading. I'm going to move pretty quickly now. The Sasser is designed to test you around your ability to sight read. And I'll show you a report of my students. When I go over to, whoops, go away. Having a hard time with that. Okay. So if I come over to my reports, I can take a look and see which of my students are the best sight readers just by opening up the Sasser report. It gives them a sight reading test and they read through like 15 pieces around their level, and it tells me that this student is reading about a 309. This student's reading about a 10, a level 10. This one's reading a level 2. I can actually sort and see who is my best sight readers in my class. I can sort it by class or type in a class if I just want to see my ninja students. Then you can see just those ninja students. And then my best student here in this class is Isabel, who's 10, Mason, 12, and Miley, who's got a 362. She's reading a mid-level 3. So it's really handy to be able to see at a glance who has problem sight reading and who excels at sight reading. And then it allows you to develop a plan around their level to improve their sight reading. But it's also a good way to practice your sight reading because it gives you constantly new material to sight read. And so a lot of universities say, I want you to go in, take this sight reading test every single week. I've seen people say for the first month, I want you to take it every single day. That's basically reading about 450 pieces in a month. Again, that's right here under the Sasser, which stands for Standard Assessment of Sight Reading. It keeps track of their growth over time. So does anybody have any questions about that particular thing with sight reading? Want to go to my, oh yeah, Tracy, what's your question with that?
You were saying that you were looking at a score, able to tell what level they're in. Is there a number? I guess I've never learned the system.
Well, it's easy. Anything in the 100s is a level 1.
Oh, okay.
Level 2. 900s is a level 9.
Okay. And you piano Marvel grades from level 1 all the way to 10, 9?
Well, the method only goes through level 6. At that point, then you're reading classical stuff, classical repertoire.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's basically like any other method out there. They only go up through level 6, and then you should be reading your classical repertoire, the easy stuff at that point.
But the Sasser goes up through 18, though, to answer
your
question.
And so we have, and Tracy actually belongs to the sight reading team who I think James Lent is on this group. You also belong to that. So we have some freaks of nature who just read like crazy. I don't know what a brain has to do to be able to read like they do. So we took some of the best sight readers in the world, and they're reading through the top level repertoire in the world. And we are actually grading which is the easiest and hardest songs, and we're putting them in their levels. The world record for the sight reading, it's been fun to just watch different people come to MTNA events and perform or just sight read. You would not believe what some students can sight read. We had a doctoral student, she took the world record from CU Boulder, and she told her teacher that, and he said, I'm tired of hearing that she has a world record. I'm going to beat her. So he came in and he played it, and he couldn't beat her. So he came back the next day, played it again, and he did beat her. And so he posted it on Facebook that he now holds the world record and his student didn't anymore. Well, it wasn't much longer and there was a master's student from BYU that came in and beat the world record. And then last fall when we had MTNA, we had a sophomore in high school come in and destroy the world record. I don't know how that kid read so well. But it's really fun to just see these, any level. You can be a level 1 and use the test, or you can be a genius, you know, level 18, and you can still find stuff in there that will challenge you for reading. So it's very universal and super easy. But one of my favorite things to do is go through the these challenges that we do. We're doing this challenge, which I highly recommend if you're going to use Piano Marvel, that you somehow implement the Christmas challenge in your class. It is the coolest thing in the world. You can kind of see how it works right now. We're doing an FJH challenge. If you log into Piano Marvel, you'll see a little pop-up in the library. Go through and do some of that FJH challenge to see how it works, just to experiment. There's lots and lots of easy stuff for reading, and then you have more challenging stuff for reading. Kevin Olson, anybody familiar with his works? He has a ton of really good reading stuff for easy and for difficult stuff. Really great composer. So we're doing, and he does FJH. So if you want to go and just kind of experiment with that, go into the library sometime this month and just test it out. That challenge ends the end of this month.
Aaron?
Yes.
So with all of the sight reading materials that you have at the disposal, do you have an idea how many pages or how many pieces there are?
I think we have about 12,000.
No, that's wrong. Sorry. We have
Sorry.
about 25,000. We just added every Bach chorale transposed to every key, which is like 4,000 alone.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a lot of music, and Tracy and all of them that are a part of our sight reading team, Diane Scott's on here. She's part of it. They're all helping us add even more, like 1,000 more songs. So we have
And they're all graded, like leveled?
Yeah. With the, I mean, in the Sasser, we have 2,000 that are like all done with like years of data. And we're adding even more off of this whole project. So, and then so there's lots of stuff in there, lots of stuff. I could talk your ear off about it, Ron.
Yeah.
You've done what I had dreamed of doing, but could never do, so.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge project, but it's one of the coolest things that I've been a part of, is building this sight reading assessment. Really cool, and get to work with some of the world's best sight readers on it and collaborate with them.
One of the most valuable applications of the Sasser was, I think, for the first day of class piano. Do you want to share that story of what we did with that one university that
Yeah, so I did attend a university where I walked in and they'd never used the software before, and they were trying to teach their TAs how to do the classes. And there was this class called Beginning Piano. And so I walked in and I was, as a guest, helping them teach the class for the first time. And the TA, I said, hey, how about we start with a sight reading exam? Let's give them the Sasser and just see where they are. You know, it's a good point. And she said, well, we can't do that because they don't even know where middle C is. Like, this is a beginning class. I said, well, you know, it'd be really cool is if you could show them how bad they are now and how much they've improved. That would make you look amazing. She's like, let's do that. So we went in and we started giving them their tests, and we were just kind of watching the screen to see students' scores. And you could see some 100s, and yep, they're really struggling. And then we saw somebody who had a 200, and she's like, wait a minute, they know more than they're letting on. And then somebody had a 300, somebody had a 400, and then we started seeing some 700s. And she's like, hey, these guys are lying to me. They know more piano. And so we found out some of them were outreading some of the piano majors. And they signed up for her beginning class I don't know if it was just for an easy A or what, but at that point she's like, okay, I've got some people who really don't know where middle C is, and some people who are reading better than piano majors all in the same class. What do we do? I said, aren't you glad you know now? So you're not trying to teach middle C, and these kids are like, I'm so bored. So at that point we said, all right, let's just kind of let them work on things in their own level, and then you can just kind of create their own pathway and let them work on their own stuff. So that was really, really insightful to see what you're working with before you actually dive in and start teaching. So that was handy. Did anybody else have a comment, question?
I think Emily did.
Emily, what's your question?
I can't remember anymore, but someone did send a nice message saying they were interested to see how I set up my class piano. Just my quick cut and paste version of that. Do you want me to take the time to do it now, or I can stay later?
Guillermo, you do have something to share. How long would it take for you to share yours?
Be 3 minutes.
Emily, yours is going to take a little bit longer. Let's do Guillermo first, and then Emily second. Guillermo, you've got the board.
Yeah, I wanted to share a new addition to our class piano equipment. Dealing with cameras, I've seen people work with mics, with mic stands with the booms and iPhone clips and cameras. We've always had a document camera in our piano lab. It was an Elmo with the flat platform and the arm, with the camera arm. So I found a new, we needed something more efficient. So I found a new document camera, and it has a gooseneck. Let me switch cameras here.
Hey, I have a question. Can I ask a question really quickly?
Sure.
This is about Zoom. I just pinned you as I know I spotlighted you. Did anybody else's video go really large on Guillermo, or is that just for me personally? Sean, it did go up? All right. So just so you know why his screen went really big is because I clicked on his name and highlighted or spotlighted his video. Thanks for the feedback.
So we have a setup. We have, of course, the camera on the iMac, which is next to the teacher station. I'm looking at it. We also have a Zoom camera, a Zoom Q4N on a mic stand right over there. And then we have this new Aver dot cam. And what I liked about it is I have no other mic stands around me. And it has, well, let me go back, let me switch. It has this gooseneck. It's not very big. It's a 6x6" base. And so I can move it where I want it. But this gooseneck is the game changer. I can move it wherever I need it. There are all different price points in this. I'm not a salesman for Aver, but I think everyone should have these because you get rid of a lot of equipment. Let me go, one more. So now I'm on the Aver. So I can put it wherever I need it. I can bring it back. It can actually be my camera for me. And I just rotate my screen and we'll bring it back. So I just got these working last week after unpacking everything I had purchased. So now we can easily see the hands in the correct direction. I had considered GoPro cameras, and that would have, of course, been more wires, some kind of a stand for it, tripod for it to be set right here on the music rack. But it doesn't assure that it would go the correct direction. So this has been an amazing solution so far. But of course, it's still a document camera. I can just switch it over to here, to my shelf, or pick it up and move it. But definitely, if you have the ability to purchase one item that's more than a couple $100, you might consider a dot camera with a smaller base. Elmo does make dot cameras with smaller bases. They don't have this gooseneck arm though, which is the game changer.
Yeah.
I could put it on the whole classroom if I wanted. They're all my Go pianos that I purchased still in boxes. So this is an amazing tool, I think.
Is that A-V-E-R, Aver, Mike?
It's a AVER document camera.
Would you mind putting that in the equipment document with a link?
Sure. Also, I uploaded a document to the invite that you had originally sent out. I made a document with pictures.
Okay.
But no, I'll add it to it.
Yeah, if you can add that to that, I think that'd be great. I'd rather you do it than me because then we can make sure to get the right place. I haven't seen or used that before.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Could you record video with that?
Yes, you can do video. It can be stored to a USB little zip drive or an SD card, or you could record it to your computer. And it does have a microphone. Some of them have Wi-Fi. You have to have a Wi-Fi dongle for it. You have to be careful with that. My university would not support the Wi-Fi on any of these dot cams that I was considering, because Elmo made one that you could actually fold up and then walk around the room. It was battery powered. You could walk around the room and show that student playing arabesque, whatever it might be, which is a pretty sweet idea. But it would not work on our networks. We have 6 different levels of networks, and they would not support it on any of them. So careful with the Wi-Fi elements. But the storage is great. You can make the videos. It does have a microphone for your videos. So it is kind of an all-in-one magic wand, I think. So.
Yeah, I'd love to, if you put that on that doc.
Sure.
Thank you. Emily, I'm dying to see all online course this fall. You're prepared.
It's very, very simple, but I will show you what I've done.
Simple is better. So
okay,
it's good. Let's see what you've done.
Here's my, I'm gonna screen share. Okay, so if you go into library and search USU, you should be able to see what I've done, which is just the beginning of what I'm hoping to do. But I'm laying out each week what the students should work through on their own, and then and these are all I've just pulled from this book. And these are all PDFs, so you can easily have students print and write on the copy if you'd like them to, or if they prefer reading from a PDF instead of a device. Because I also wanted to be aware of students who may not have great internet. They could still be totally successful by printing everything in advance. And then you see after week 1, they have to finish this quiz, and they'll do it by video and submit it. And I'll just have to use my helps of UTFs and TAs to handle all of that grading. But I am going to try to do all of these quizzes each week instead of 3 giant proficiencies.
I see that you've created a report. Can I see the My Report?
Sure, I don't know what it looks like.
You haven't tried it yet, huh?
Because my intent is to take those videos and upload it to Canvas, which is something my university prefers. I also know they won't necessarily be plugged in. Once we know we're back in the lab, I'm very excited to do a lot more with this. Oh, and I've gone through it so you can see my assessment.
Yeah, can you scroll through and just show us? You've done week 1, quiz 1. You've already done all of them and got 100.
Not all of them. I've only fixed up those ones. I'm
a
work in progress, and I want to add a lot more. And then I do want students to have the option to pick from the incredible repertoire options right at their fingertips, so that they also have a little bit of options within this Alfred group piano curriculum.
Can you show me week 5 where you stopped?
Sure.
And then
Oh, I don't know. It's not letting me scroll.
you have to scroll over.
There we go.
And then just hover over the number 2. So that's page 74. Click on the number 3. It says 0. What does that mean? So there are 2 exercises there to do. Okay. I do like that. Good job. You got 100% all the way through quiz 4.
I should hope.
I
It's just a really helpful way to lay out what the expectations are for the entire semester for both myself, because we're also dealing with, if we were the only ones teaching the course, that's one thing, but we're having to teach a whole bunch of other teachers how to do this as well. So
Did you create a syllabus?
The beginnings of one. Do you want me to I'm happy to share it too.
Yeah, if you can show us the beginnings of your syllabus. I think everybody's at that point where they're getting ready to do theirs.
It's on this other computer and it would take me a second. So how about I share it a little bit later? Okay.
We could do that.
Okay.
I have a quick question. Did you make an instructional video on top of that and then included it, or is that all in?
My next step is to upload videos to each one of those.
Okay, so that the what was in the list was the purely the practice
Purely the
sessions. Or
content and the words explaining the exercises if you click the PDF, just the book. But then my intent is to use Zoom and then a multi-camera angle so they see my face and see me playing the exercise.
Got it.
Are you excited for the semester to start?
You better believe it.
I have a quick question. Emily, when you have your students make recordings, how do they do that? Do they do YouTube recordings?
Well, I don't know. I'm messing around with different platforms. I was really interested to learn more about Google Classrooms, just see if anybody else here has a solution for that. But what you're saying, YouTube and unlisted would work great.
I have an idea. This is Diane. With asking students to submit their videos, I let it up to them. It was their responsibility to make sure I got a video. I got some on my cell phone, I got some on a YouTube link, I got some through email, and those that didn't come through, then I could connect with the student, say, I'm unable to open this, or I didn't get it, can we try a different venue? And then we just work that out. So I really put it on the students.
Yeah, I know you can upload to Canvas.
Can I share a really cool idea? Josh, will you make me a video with Marco Polo showing me your right hand scale and the key of D flat major?
Yeah, you want me to Marco Polo you with a video of me doing my right hand E flat major, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I want to time how long it takes you to do this.
Okay. Here we go. You asked for my D flat right hand.
Okay, you're done with your video?
Yep.
Let's see if I got it.
I've sent you a couple messages, so.
Oh, I got
the
it.
last one.
Let's see.
Hey, I was wondering.
Next one.
Right hand.
So, I will tell you, my time is very precious. And you saw how much time it took Josh to record that and how quickly I got it. It was instant. And it took me 0 effort to open it. Played. If you look in that free document, I think we mentioned Marco Polo. Phenomenal way for them to share video with almost no work on their end and no work on your end. So write that one down, Marco Polo. Anybody else have another quick video way to do it? Quicker than that?
I have a question. Does that work just as well for longer videos?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I've used it. I teach a student in India. And so I've sent her Marco Polos that have been like 20 minutes long. So it's been surprising. The other one, a lot of my fellow faculty members have used Marco Polo. They've also used a Flipgrid. And that seems to be a popular one too. I haven't used it yet. The only thing is you have to give your student your phone number for Marco Polo. So there is that. They do have to have your, isn't that right? Yeah, I think it's phone number.
Your phone number. So Flipgrid, anyone else use Flipgrid? Nobody? I have actually not used Flipgrid, but I've heard of other universities using it. Marco Polo is just so easy that I prefer that. It's super easy.
It is.
That is really useful is Skype, believe it or not, because they can record right from their phone or their computer and just do a video recording, and it goes right to your conversation with them. And then it stores it in your Skype link with them. You can even make groups. You can do that with Marco Polo too, with groups. I have found that Skype does much higher quality video than Marco Polo does. So if you want a high quality video, Skype might be a better way to do that. Of course, Zoom, you can start Zoom, hit the record button, and then save it, but then you have to upload it to YouTube and share it with your students. So there's lots of steps. I'm always looking for the fastest way.
I've also heard from another professor that he would use a private Facebook group for his class pianos, and then they would send the video there, and then they would compare, and students could compare each other's videos as well. So
That's another good way to do it. I know the upcoming generation hates Facebook. I don't know why. It's like an old people's thing in their mind, but you can get them to do Facebook. They just have to learn how to do it.
Also, if your school supports Box or Dropbox, you can just create a file and upload directly to a box. Section 3 of sophomore class piano.
Yeah, so there's Dropbox, there's OneDrive.
Yeah,
there's
any of those. But I found this last semester just using Box is just so much easier. And you can allow access where they can only upload, they can upload and download, they can be, they're all different settings. And my school is very particular. Like, I'm concerned about students being able to see reports in Piano Marvel comparing their grade to others. My school does not want that.
You don't like that at all?
No, not at all. So, but anyway, a Box account for upload of all assignments, videos assignments is also great.
By the way, if you have any concerns like that, just send them over and I can address those.
You have to be very careful about FERPA. That's the confidentiality. And like speech teachers have gotten in trouble for videoing their students giving speeches and then having everybody watch it. It can get really hairy if you're not careful and if you don't know FERPA law.
Yeah. Okay, so I know we're out of time. I expect that you guys, you do want your fellow peers' contact information, which I can get that to you guys. And then if you want to get off of that list, then maybe what I'll do is just like allow you to add yourself or remove yourself. And I can do that through a form. Then I just send that to you guys and you'll have access to everybody who wants their access to be shared. Does that sound good? The other thing is if you will go into, let me share the screen. We will be doing lots and lots of sharing to these documents. So let me show you where we're going to find them. So back to this, you can see this Google Drive collaboration. You will find a folder where we're going to put just sample syllabus, syllabi, solutions to problems, additional documentation, just all sorts of different things that we'll be able to share inside of this Google Doc or a Google folder. Over here on the Facebook group, if you wouldn't mind helping with this, if you will click on Collegiate Piano Pedagogy, it'll take you to the Facebook group. And then if I think it's a closed group, so you're going to have to be invited. So if you would just click on, what's that?
For them, like you say invite because you're in it already, but for them it should say join group.
Join. So you just click on join group.
And then we'll have to like, what's the word? Like admit them into the group.
Yeah, and so Michelle's going to be the one that's monitoring this group. Okay. I hope everybody's learned a lot of stuff and you're excited to get started. There's going to be a ton of just experimenting and playing stuff yourself. If you have any questions for me or for anybody, you can just send me an email to aarongarner@pianomarvel.com, which I've sent you a million emails, so you should have my email address. If I'm sending you too many emails, just tell me slow down.
Aaron, thank you so much.
You are welcome. I appreciate seeing all your feedback. If you have any questions that you would like to be addressed right now, then go ahead and stay on the line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording because it's gone 2 hours. And anybody who needs to leave or wants to leave, you can tick off. If you want to stay, we'll just continue to address your questions until we get too tired.
Aaron, can I share your equipment and software information on my website?
Absolutely. Anything that we put up there, you can share with anybody.
Okay, thank you.
Great. See
Thanks
you guys.
everybody for your feedback.